Hello and welcome back to the Pitchsidepodcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the BSB. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this episode and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from the episodes of the podcast and all the content on the channel. Of course, following us on social media, on PSP on Twitter, Pitchsidepod on Instagram, and listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. Welcome to episode 112, where we're going to be continuing the coverage of the international break, the UEFA World Cup qualifiers. Join us for more, and you're welcome. So we'll kick things off chronologically this time, and we will start from Group A, the group of Serbia, Azerbaijan, Portugal, and Luxembourg, plus, of course, Ireland. The start is going to be from Azerbaijan, as Serbia managed to get the 3 points away from home, turning the deficit 2-1 after trailing 1-0 in the early goings of the game. It was a really tough first half an hour to a first 45 minutes really for Serbia. In fact, they scored early thanks to Aleksandar Mitrovic in the 16th minute. My mistake. Then, of course, Emin Mahmudov equalised from the penalty spot in the 59th minute for Azerbaijan. It looked like the game could go to a draw, with Azerbaijan holding their lines really well defensively, but in the end, Mitrovic comes in again with a brilliant volley on the turn, ready to make it 2-1 for Azerbaijan. 3 points for Serbia make them top of the group as it stands, or joint top of the group, alongside Portugal, of course. Portugal take advantage from the away draw the last time out. Whether it could have been a 3 points or not, I mean, that is not really up for debate anymore. The game is gone and dusted, really. So it is 7 points for Serbia, behind Portugal, of course, who managed to turn their deficit indeed from 1-0 down to 3-1 up against Luxembourg. It looked for the first 40 minutes, really, and 45 minutes, literally, until the goal came from Portugal, that Luxembourg were really going to do some damage here for Portugal. And inside 30 minutes, Jason Rodriguez scored the opening goal after some bad marking from the Portuguese defence. For the first 15 to 20 minutes, the game was pretty stagnant, pretty slow. Portugal didn't create a lot. I mean, Luxembourg were holding their lines really well. They're trying to pick up moments and opportunities to score and try to make some chances. Jason Rodriguez was, I think, their main man, looking forward to attack, and it was then the 30th minute goal from him. After that, Portugal just went forward. João Felix went down injured during that, of course, allowing Pedro Neto to come in, and what a substitution he proved to be, clinching 2 assists on the night. The first one being for Diogo Jota's equaliser, then the second goal, or the second assist for him, being for João Paulinho, a third goal in the 80th minute. Between all of that, Cristiano Ronaldo finally scored in the international break, and this international break, his first goal in this campaign in the 50th minute, after missing a couple of opportunities himself as well. So eventually, it was a tale of two halves for Portugal. The first half of struggle, of real worry that this game could go either way. Luxembourg really managed to defeat Ireland away from home, and that is not an easy feat, really, for all the teams. And then, of course, Portugal dominated the second half. They did what they had to do. They made the substitutions. I mean, Bruno Fernandes wasn't even required in this one, so realistically speaking, it was a pretty comfortable victory for Portugal. Eventually, they got there, but definitely the way or the road to that victory wasn't exactly easy. Very recommendable performance, I would say, from the Luxembourg squad and Luxembourg lineup. They played a 4-4-2. They really were defending well for the first 40 to 45 minutes. Didn't allow Portugal any sort of space to work into, but eventually they got broken down by the quality that is the Portugal squad. So it seems at the moment in this group that it will be Azerbaijan, Serbia, in this group, Azerbaijan, Serbia, Luxembourg, Portugal, Ireland. It will be Portugal and Serbia for the first spot, and I mean, by that order, really, depending on what happens, Portugal, Serbia, Serbia, Portugal, it looks like it will be between those two for these straight qualifications for the World Cup. Maybe this could allow someone of the other to sneak in, but I really doubt it's going to be either Portugal, Serbia in those two spots by this order, this group. I mean, it might turn to be too easy after a struggling start for Portugal with a couple of games really of horrific performance. Even the performance against Luxembourg again for the first 35 minutes was pretty average, but then they got themselves going in the second half and they scored 2 goals and all of that, and they might just turn the engine on now, returning to the getting out and looking ahead to the rest of the season. For Portugal, of course, the bad thing of this game is going to be João Felix's injury. Obviously, that's not good news for Atletico Madrid as well in the league. For them, And speaking of that, by the way, just to inform people, and just to feel bad myself, Lewandowski's injury is going to be sustainable for more than 1 month. Like, it's going to be missing potentially between 3 to 4 weeks, and there will be around 4 to 5 games is going to be missing, including for sure the first leg at least of the PSG game, if not the second. So it will be a tough opportunity for Bayern Munich against PSG without Lewandowski, but definitely they still have some incredible quality up front. But anyway, let's return to our international coverage. Portugal at the top of the group with 7 points, away goals counting. Serbia joined with 7 points, Luxembourg with 3 points, Ireland and Azerbaijan with 0 points as well. Ireland played the international against Qatar, and of course they end up drawing 1-1. I mean, surprisingly enough, Qatar would have been joined them in the group had their internationals been counting, really. Of course, Group G includes Belgium, Wales, Czech Republic, Belarus, and of course, Estonia. Belgium had not a lot of trouble, or any at all really, in defeating Belarus. It was 8-0, a complete drubbing by the Belgian, of course, for either side of the game, 4 in the first half and 4 in the second half. It was a complete turnover and rotation from Roberto Martinez. He rested the likes of Lukaku, De Bruyne, Dries Mertens. He came on with the new name, of course. Michy Batshuayi started, Leandro Trossard got a start, Jeremy Doku, Dennis Praet and Hans Van Aken in the midfield. Simon Mignolet got a rare start for Belgium, of course. Keeping, Januzaj was a sub later on, then Dunker was a sub, Christian Benteke was a sub and got a goal for himself as well in those 8 goals. It was an incredible night for Belgium, definitely a chance to rotate, to prove that they're number one, really, to prove their worth after the sort of criticism that they received in the game against Czech Republic for being not exactly ready. But I think this very comfortable win sort of proved that they could still be at their very best against anyone. They could still really smash teams back and forth, and prove that their number one standing in the world isn't exactly a fluke by any chance of the imagination. Of course, 8 goals, all showing the quality, I think, of the size. The brace of Jeremy Doku, I think in particular, showed really how good this, or the goal from Jeremy Doku really, with his assist as well on the game. A goal and assist for him, a goal and assist for Michy Batshuayi, a goal and assist for Dennis Praet, a goal and assist for Adnan Januzaj, an assist for Adnan Januzaj, really, and Trossard with the goal as well, Hans Van Aken with the goal too. I mean, it was, again, as easy of a game as it would get for Belgium against the Belarus side, who was defenseless, really, in this game. And the other game, the more interesting, the more tighter one in this game between Wales and Czech Republic, it was Wales clinching the victory in the last 10 minutes. Daniel James making it 1-0 for Czech Republic, or for Wales, really, against Czech Republic, with a leap-in header from Gareth Bale's assist, who continues to be crucial for Wales in these internationals. And that would mean now that Wales have the first 3 points of that campaign. Finally, after 2 games, they had their first 3 points, and it came against a Czech Republic side where we saw the best of them against Belgium, but definitely it was a different situation, and it looks like it might be Wales versus Czech Republic for the second spot, because Belgium obviously are going to beat Belarus and Estonia home and away, and going to be just dropping them, completely annihilating those 2 teams. So it will be Czech Republic versus Wales for the second spot, and we'll see who's going to be, ready to do that, to take the second spot. Wales is usually favourable to take those playoff spots, but Czech Republic
maybe have an opportunity this time around to make it past the group stage and to go to the playoff system, and throw that dice and look what the situation will be for them. Behind Belgium again, they will have no real chance of doing it, but I guess either them or Wales is going to be an interesting choice for the second spot in this group, and for the playoff, we'll see how the matches are going to be, progressing in the rest of this campaign. For Czech Republic, the next qualifier is going to be, the next match is going to be in the Euros, but in this qualifier, of course, the first three fixtures are done and complete. Of course, I think it will be Wales in reverse in the fourth fixture, and then, of course, probably they'll face Belgium again away from home. There's going to be some serious intrigue in this group, really, to see who's going to go behind. From Group E to Group G, and of course it is the group of Gibraltar, Netherlands, Latvia, Turkey, Norway, and Montenegro, and three interesting games varying really in intrigue. And Gibraltar versus Netherlands was never really in doubt. I mean, you knew that Netherlands are going to be winning, but it was about how many, and indeed it was 7-0, the one goal lead in the first half. Pretty good defensive performance, I would say, for the most part, from Gibraltar in the first half. Steven Berghuis broke the deadlock in the 41st minute, and of course after that, it was nothing, nothing surprising really to see the quality of Netherlands shining over in this game. 4 goals in the space of 9 minutes. Luc de Jong scoring, Memphis Depay scoring, Georgina Wijnaldum scoring, Daniel Malen scoring, and then of course Donny van de Beek, who was a star, who was on the bench for Netherlands. I mean, surprisingly, he was on the bench for the last 2-3 games in this one. I mean, he started the second game, but he was on the bench for the first one and the second one. So you really think, I mean, this is a good time for rotation, a good game for rotation as well for Frank de Boer, just like it was for Belgium against Belarus. So 7-0, easy result. Memphis Depay scoring the 7th, and it was never in doubt. This is again another morale booster, another confidence booster, I would say, for Netherlands after the first game where things didn't go down really well. Even the second game against Latvia wasn't exactly that easy, and we're going to get to why. Now I think Frank de Boer should really have hold of his squad, should really have hold of one, in my opinion, still one of the best squads in all of Europe. The amount of talent they have, the amount of, potential that they have, those guys, I mean, Daniel Malen, Ryan Gravenberg, who's, going to move next summer to Leipzig. So it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how Frank de Boer gets hold of his squad in the next international breaks or so, also in the Euros as well, because that is going to be an interesting situation as well. In the Euros for Netherlands, definitely he would need to get as many victories as he can before the Euros. Definitely there will be some internationals, a couple of friendlies here and there to be announced, and that should boost the morale as well for the Netherlands, improve the situation. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the Euros necessarily, but I mean, in my opinion, there could be a dark horse alongside Italy maybe to go deep in that Euro. Elsewhere in the group, Montenegro lost to Norway 1-0 finally. Norway started to show why they are a really good team. But again, I think the bad thing for football viewers is that Erling Haaland was a starter once again, and he didn't score once again, so he had to be subbed off. 1-0 for Norway from Alexander Soloth, thanks to Mohamed El Younousi. His assist, of course, in the 35th minute, and that goal was the only difference between the two sides. Montenegro, played the better side for the second half after the first good half from Norway, but definitely they regressed back. I mean, as I mentioned, this young Norwegian squad might need a little bit more than just a couple of victories really to strengthen themselves. Again, a couple of important victories, and I would say those ones should come against the likes of Turkey and Netherlands rather than Montenegro, all respect to them, or Gibraltar or Latvia. So I think, I still believe that they have a good chance of making it to the playoffs maybe, but I really doubt that it will be it'd be an easy campaign, because at the moment, as it stands in that group, Turkey are top with 7 points, and they missed a huge 2 points, by the way. We're going to get to that. Netherlands 6 points, Montenegro 6 points, and Norway 6 points. So this is going to be an intense competition for that second spot. for all the spots really, for the both spots, the first and the second. It's going to be fierce competition between those sides. It's going to be definitely a 4-horse race to see who are going to be the two qualifying from this group straight to the World Cup or to the playoff system. So it will be really, really intriguing in the next couple of months or so to see how this group is going to be, shaping. Speaking of the group being shaped, Turkey missed and dropped a 3-1 lead against Latvia. They led early by Kenan Karaman, and you thought the game is going, Turkey's way. They add the second goal in the 33rd minute from Hakan Çalhanoğlu, and you think, well, this is going to be about how many, really, Turkey scores, but credit to Latvia, they came back quickly after that second goal, half the deficit thanks to Robert Salviniks, and in the second half, despite Turkey scoring the third goal from a penalty spot for Burak Yilmaz, also, Latvia responded quickly by Rubert Uldirikis in the 58th minute, and then, of course, it was a game of chess really between the two sides. Latvia were defending, trying to pick their moment, and indeed they scored the third goal in the 79th minute, denying Turkey a third victory in this campaign. They only have now 7 points. I mean, it's not going to hurt Turkey in the grand scheme of things because Latvia are not really exactly favourites to go to the World Cup or to go to the playoff spots, but definitely it could hurt them. In fact, that the other competitors in that, Netherlands, Montenegro and Norway, could catch up to them in this group and could really, put them under some serious pressure rather for those qualifiers and for those spots in top or the playoff spot in the very worst of cases really, because that could have hurt them in the near future. Well, they have again a mix of great experience and youth in their squad. They have some incredible talent. They have well-rounded players, star players in Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Çağlar Söyüncü, and Ozan Kabak as well. So they have the the talent necessary to get through the group, whether by playoff or directly to the World Cup. We'll see how things are going to be going. I'm really intrigued by this group. I think it's going to be one of the most open groups in the whole campaign. Elsewhere, of course, in the qualifiers, we finally go on by Group H. Cyprus defeated Slovenia 1-0 in a very, very surprising result, I would say. Cyprus defeating Slovenia 1-0, winning their first 3 points of the group. Croatia defeated Malta 3-0, not surprising at all. And then, of course, you have Slovakia defeating Russia 2-1. The standings of this group, as it shaped, is Croatia with 6 points, as well as Russia 5 points for Slovakia, Cyprus with 4 points, Slovenia with 3 points, Malta with 1 point. This might be as well an intriguing and open group as well, so definitely we should keep an eye on that as well. On today's schedule for this qualifiers for the World Cup, the final round and the final batch of games here in the international break. Finally, we're getting rid of this. I mean, not because it's boring, because it hasn't been boring, but really we want to get to the thick of it in the leagues and in the Champions League. So for the last, batch of games in this international break in the qualifiers for Europe, we're going to be having Greece, Georgia, Spain, Kosovo in Group B, Lithuania, Italy, Northern Ireland, Bulgaria in Group C, Group D, Bosnia-Herzegovina, France, and Ukraine, Kazakhstan in Group D. In Group F, it's going to be Austria, Denmark, Moldova, Israel, Scotland, and Faroe Island. And in Group I, it will be Andorra, Hungary, England, and England, Poland, San Marino, and Albania. And in the Germany group, Group J, it'll be Germany facing North Macedonia, Romania, Armenia, and Liechtenstein facing Iceland. So I'm going to be talking about a little bit of general about the international break. Sort of give my feedback of what I thought of it. I mean, it wasn't exactly boring or anything like that. It was pretty interesting in some of it. I mean, we have to see the sort of disappointment of some performances of the big names in Europe. We saw the disappointment of France in the first one. We saw Belgium struggling against Czech Republic. We saw Portugal struggling against Serbia and also struggling against Azerbaijan. Even against Luxembourg in this third game for the first half. Overall, it was a pretty intriguing international break. I don't know. Is it because we were just, trying to distract ourselves with any kind of football we had. I don't know if it was just because we were missing the domestic football, the Champions League football, kind of that aspect, and we're just trying to live with the international break as it goes. Definitely, it is a cause of a lot of concern. I talked about that in yesterday's episode, causing, I mean, the amount of injuries, the latest of them being Lewandowski missing to 4 weeks really of action, so that's going to be really bad as far as the Champions League is concerned. But definitely, it wasn't exactly a boring international break. It wasn't that bad of a break, really, in my opinion. I mean, I really enjoyed quite watching some of it. I watched a lot of players. I knew more players of more clubs and more teams, really. I discovered, really, all of those kind of players. But, it's still the feeling of boredom creeps into you when you talk about these international breaks and, international matches, because they're not exactly as exciting or as marketable, really, as club football. But again, overall, I think it's a necessary evil. We cannot just get rid of them, because we need to have this process for the World Cup to make the World Cup feel even more prestigious, in my opinion, because that's what you need for your biggest competition. That's what you need for your biggest attraction in the world of football, to be as prestigious, to feel as grandiose as it possibly can. I mean, we'll wait and see what's going to happen. Obviously, I'm not really interested in the European qualifiers as much as I'm interested in the African qualifiers for the World Cup, which are going to be kicking off in June, hopefully. And, we're going to be talking about that in later episodes, hopefully, when the time is right. Definitely, we're going to get to that, at least before the end of the first season of this podcast. Anyway, we'll try and get as much coverage with the African qualifiers as possible. In the end of the show, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I was with the HID of the PSP. Like, share, comment on this YouTube version of the podcast episode, subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from the episodes of the podcast. Site PSP on Twitter, Pitchsidepod on Instagram, follow me there. Listen on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. And until tomorrow's episode, I will be seeing you soon. Check out what we have on the channel, and I'm putting you, of course, the videos in the end. And of course, I will see you soon. Goodbye.